Hello, this is Medis and Ukraine Odesa. We start our working day and we started with a briefing about the condition of nature reserve fund in Odesa region. Our speaker is Irina Shatokhina, is the head of the Department of Natural Resources of Odesa Military Administration. The full scale of Russia to Ukraine caused considerable harm to natural ecosystems of our country. The situation, unfortunately, affected the southern regions of our country, including Odesa region. While the war kills people, ruins homes, and our country's economy, one may believe that it's no time to preserve the environment. However, our economy largely depends on the entire range of tangible and intangible benefits. They are often referred to ecosystem services. These services may seem invisible because we're used to get them for free and continuously. For example, we all need clean air, clean water, and we're used to use them. In the same way, the ecosystem prevents serious damages during the floods, prevents landslides, and thanks to that, we can preserve our soil and also mitigate the results of droughts. When we lose the natural ecosystems to the war, we also lose all the services we used to get for free from these ecosystems. As a result, we have to pay a big price for technologies necessary to make it up for the damages and the services we lost. Or what is even worse, we have to pay with humans' health because of worsened condition of the environment. That's why it is so significant to find a place to preserve ecosystems. Among the priority issues and the strategy of the oblast recovery should be also the environmental protection. The enlargement of the area of natural reserve fund in the region are provided by the post-war strategy of Ukraine's recovery. One of the most efficient ways to provide our future with functional and flourishing ecosystems is the creation of new and expanding the existing territories of the natural reserve funds. The National Reserve Fund of Odesa region is represented by the natural complexes and objects that have recreational nature preservation and scientific value. According to the legislation of Ukraine, this fund is protected as a national legacy. So it is covered by the special preservation regime. Despite the difficulties of the martial law, the Department of Ecology and Natural Resources of Odesa Military Administration carries out the continuous work on creation of additional nature and preserve fund. Currently, Odesa region has 128 facilities of natural preserve fund, which cover about 167,000 hectares. Out of them, 19 are of the national significance and 109 objects are of local significance. The share of the reserve fund is accounted for 4.99 of the total area of the oblast. According to the law of Ukraine on the fundamental strategies of ecological policy of Ukraine to 2030, it is provided that the area of natural preserve fund will be expanded by 12.5% from the total territory of Ukraine. What is more, the extension of the area of such fund is implied by the international commitments taken by Ukraine within the Convention on Protection of Biological Diversity and Convention of Protection of Wild Flora and Fauna and Natural Environment in Europe. The most significant achievement in this direction in the Odesa region is the creation by the resolution of the President in 2022, the National Nature Park Kuyalnitsky. Its area is 10,008 hectares, and the expansion of the territory of reserved terrain is Dnistrovsky Plavny, which covers 757 hectares in Belgorod-Dnistrovsky rayon of Odesa region. It enables us to expand the reserve fund by almost 12,000 hectares. In 2023, the department, jointly with academia, has been carrying out the works on creating the following objects. The National Nature Park Bajatsky Steppy. This territory represents typical and also rare types of plants. This territory is within Borodino settlement of Belgradsky region of Odesa region. After creation, we plan to bring in the animals that went extinct due to human actions, for example, hamsters, culans, deers. The landscape sanctuary of the local significance, Chagrinska Balka. Its area is going to be 600 hectares in Rauhivska community of Berezivska rayon. The national level landscape sanctuary Hugurlu Lake. Its total area is going to cover over 300 hectares, and also the spawned area is the international significance. Another item is the landscape area is the hills to Lung. The area of that is going to be 30.6 hectares. This territory is on the Sofyanivsky settlement of Ismailsky rayon. We also work on creating the landscape sanctuary of the local significance, Kolo Oglea. The approximate territory is going to be 45 hectares. They have these natural reserves. It is placed in the territory of Ovidiopole territorial community. I would like to indicate that the status of the national park status, landscape sanctuary, does not prevent them from using them for business purposes. They can be used for recreational events or business, and also performing the limited or restricted business activities. So if we create the objects of natural preserve fund, it doesn't mean that people are not allowed in there. It only means that we enhance the preservation of these territories and actually use them. In the long-term perspective, the extension of the territories and objects of natural reserve funds will become an important factor for providing the needs of the society in our country. Taking into consideration the necessity of post-war recovery of the territory, the necessity to recreate the flora and fauna species, including those facing extinction, It will also enable us to form the system for monitoring the environment, adapt to climate change, and mitigation of its effect. The protection of biosphere, natural parks, regional natural parks is provided by the special administrations. They're responsible for these activities, and they have to carry out the activities within certain territories. The protection of other facilities, of other categories, is the responsibility of the enterprises which are responsible for them. The administrative territorial reform created 91 territorial community, and as of now, it resulted in the necessity to reshape security commitments on the territory of Natural Reserve Fund. This work is being continued, but we're close to its completion. To sum it up, the extension of the Natural Reserve Fund in the Odesa region and its protection and preservation are the priority tasks of the Department of Ecology and Nature Reserves, Department of Odesa Military Administration, local authorities, and other interested public bodies and civil society in our region. Thank you very much. I have a question. As for the National Park Tuzlev's estuary, they won the court claim because Belgorod-Dnestrovska council wanted to these lands. Can you confirm that this territory is not disputed no longer? Because there were many discussions on that issue. If we speak about this issue legally, so to avoid any disputed area, as for the borders of the territory of Natural Reserve Fund, so the legislation provides the following. We create an object, and after that, each object in the territory of Natural Reserve Fund, we have to establish the borders. As of now, the Tuzlevsky Limany Natural Park, there are no established borders. But as far as we know, the administration of the park carries out the works on that, and I believe all the disputes will be resolved once the territories of the park will be established. And who is supposed to establish those borders? It is the responsibility of the park's administration. They were funded from the Ministry of Environment because they're national level object, and this funded by the Ministry of Environment. And the park's administration takes measures to complete the works on establishing the borders of the park. So that's their responsibility. Yes, they order this work. According to the legislation, there is a certain procedure that provides for agreeing on this issue, including the documents being submitted to the Department of Ecology. Currently, they are not submitted. However, when this work is completed, the specific information will be introduced to the National Land Cadastre, and all disputes will be resolved after that. But you are aware of the situation I'm talking about. There were the court hearings, now this is the cassation, the appeal court, and couldn't they establish the borders before this court ruling? Well, they were getting the funds for establishing these borders before this ruling. And how long have been these works carrying out? Well, about several years. So this court ruling and the disputed lands were the only barrier to establish their borders? No, I believe there are other issues. They relate to the fact that when the park measures the land area to establish the borders, and according to the requirements, these works are supposed to coincide with the projects. And if there are some changes in the borders of the park or some changes in the total area of the park, it results in the necessity to work on the project on changing the borders. So some part of the park will be rejected this status. So I believe the issue is that the actual measuring the territory caused some inaccuracies. From the park administration? No, that's not on the park. We have to understand that the measures, the borders at the stage of creating this area was not quite clear when this Liman Park was created. So the circumstances probably triggered this extended process. But the park administration is addressing the issue, and we act as the body that recommends the necessity to implementation and completion of this work. At some stage within our competence, we consider the documents and approve it. So back to my question, are there any disputed areas according to your territories, apart from the territory that was claimed by the Belgorod-Dnestr territorial community? You mean within this park? Yes. It looks more informative question. And it's better to ask the park administration. So you don't have the information now at hand? Well, even if we had the information that someone believes something or someone, it seems something to someone, it shouldn't be used as the basis. And it's only the park administration that may have it. I can't recall them. And speaking about Bujak step, which has been recently created by Borodyansk's village council. Speaking about the Bujak step, the works are still ongoing. We get all necessary approvals from land users. However, the object hasn't been completed yet. The order hasn't been signed yet. We're preparing the package of the documents, the materials as for creation. We shape the appeal, mapping, but the object hasn't been legally established. We only have the resolution of the village council on the land allocation. Well, when we create this kind of objects, we first of all agree this issue for avoiding conflict of interest with land users and landowners. We form the set of certain documents, including mapping, including the scientific foundation for that. So this work is still ongoing, and when it's completed, there will be the resolution or order of the president. And another question as for the appointing the director of Kuyalnik, which is now the national level reserve. Is the candidacy already approved by ministry or the cabinet of ministers? As of now, this person is not appointed, but we hope that this issue will be resolved as soon as possible, because we hope that when there is the head of this park, the director of this park, all necessary processes will be kick-started to recover and preserve this territory. So the candidates submitted to the cabinet of ministers, and we're just waiting for approval. Well, appointing this high position is the responsibility of the Ministry of Environment, because of the national level project, the heads are appointed by the ministers. Thank you for sharing the information. Thank you for answering the question. Our next briefing is at noon sharp. Stay tuned.
Отстрелялись.